Good day, Tamers. And it's that season again. A lot of people had their guesses a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to release this on the cutting edge of Japanese go time because I'm out here just being that guy. So today is the fun time issue of a ban list, suspicion slash restriction list, and so forth and so on. I will say this off the bat that I do not think for a second that we will have anything coming off the list. The only thing that I could imagine that'd be okay to come off the list is Dora Greymon. I do not think he's coming off. I think you could lay him off. I don't think he's going to be too aggressive. Obviously, you could then rework certain Alphamon builds to make it work, but I don't think you will really care for it or you need to do it. So I think that if there is something to come off the list, it would be this card, but I think that nothing will be coming off this list as of now. That being said, I want to go through things that people are asking to be removed currently or put onto the list, and that will be Ruin Mode. Ruin Mode is a weird card from what people are saying, like, yeah, it's just breaking games, it's just too bad, it's just so aggressive, so egregious, I don't like having to deal with it. And the only two decks that are really using Ruin Mode right now are 7 Great Demon Lords, which isn't really getting played too often right now because there are better purple decks that are just being aggressive that just outspeed it and make it hard for the deck to play. And then there is the Talmon Loop, which I can see why people would be just annoyed by the fact that there's a deck out there that just lets you mess around and just have constant like minus DP on the field and there's nothing you can do about it. And I 110% agree that that sucks, and unfortunately there just isn't anything you can do about it. But it's 2 decks out of like 15 plus viable ones right now. I say this as day 1 of Worlds has just ended, and I do understand that day 1 of Worlds had a variety of decks. So, yeah, I mean, it's not the most poignantly awful thing in the world. Number 2, I'm already hearing people tell me how cancerous Imperial Fighter Mode Rupel is, and that it's just too broken, and that it has to be removed from the game, and it's not fair that I can't cheat out things for free. And it's like, you're the problem. The fact that you've been allowed to just mess around for so long and just throw things down the field for free and had no repercussions just shows that the game's been allowed you to do that for way too long. And it's biased, I know this, but thank God there's finally a Rupel deck that can actually be played. But I don't think this is going to be hit straight away. It's just came out here. It came out not long at all before that in Japan. So I think they were a month ahead of us, like 3 or 4 weeks ahead of us. So I think Rupel's going to be here at least probably till the next ban list, which will probably be September, October. If it's still a deck that's just holding down the fort and it's just really hard to get around, I can imagine it will get taken care of. But right now, it's like deck 4 or 5 in the game right now. It's not even like the best deck in the room, but it's just I know it's a very impressive deck and people don't like it, but it's still not like, you know, crushing games for the fun of it. Everyone's favourite hate boy, Magnamon X Antibody from BT16, is also one of these cards that everyone keeps saying needs to be hit to 1, and I understand that it's a card that can generally go on top of a lot of decks that want to do annoying things, and it's very good at what it does, and it's just a very egregious card, and it's 3 colours, which is its own issue. But I'll be 100% honest with you, I don't think Magnamon X specifically is a problem card. Yep, oh, pitchforks down. Just because, as weird as it sounds, it's not really being this big boogeyman deck that it was originally. Mostly because the armor variant has been taken down. I do understand that we are getting a new Magnamon that is just a walking nuke, depending on how much you've played the game on that round of the game, because obviously it's all about how much is in your trash in terms of armor forms. Luckily for us, X Antibody is not considered an armor form, so it doesn't get the benefit from that, but it does have armor form as the Digivolving traits has it going for it. So I will say that yes, it is very annoying, this card. This card can be very floodgatey in terms of like, I just think I know what you want to do, so do whatever you want. But it's still affected by things if they linger, and you have a lot of issues trying to do things with this deck. But I will say that I think Magna X is in a better place fairly now than it was at the time. And we have had, for us anyway, nearly a full year. Japan's had just a little bit over a year. I don't think Magna X is getting hit this weekend. Again, I understand people who are like really fed by playing into this, and it's a very annoying card to deal with. But again, it's not the be-all end-all of like decks where it's gatekeeping formats. It's stopping you from playing the game. I don't even know if there's a Magna X at... no, sorry, there is a Magna X at Worlds. It is the Cool Boy variant, which might be an interesting version. The one that kind of gets me... I do laugh at this. Singularity of Chaos. This card, I've been told by a few people, is so bullshit, and it shouldn't be doing things. And for those who don't know what this card is, because it's an XL card, which is one of the new... it's the new Chaos deck. And that is, or you have a Digimon card with Chaos in its name, or the XL trait, you make no this card's color requirements. It's a white card. Security, gain 1 memory, and add this card to the hand. Main, you may play 1 Digimon card with the XL trait from your hand, with the play cost reduced by 4. Then, place this card as any of your Digimon's bottom Digivolution cards. And then, end of your opponent's turn, inherited effect. If this Digimon has Chaosmon in its name, trash your opponent's top security card, and this Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn. And this is where people are going, this is bullshit. And the reason why it's bullshit is because DP minus is a game mechanic and not an effect, which means partition will trigger. And that's where people are getting annoyed, because it's like, oh, it killed itself by an effect that you put on it. You shouldn't get to do your things. I was like, I 100% agree. It is bullshit. But unfortunately, DP reduction is a game mechanic and not an effect, which means that unfortunately for you, partition will trigger. And I mean, the most people I've seen playing Singularity in the decks are playing like 2 of it. It's not like the best card in the game. I gotta run it at 4. Like they are running it at 2 of. If you limited this card, and again, it's a card that just came out, so please chill a little bit. You get to limit it from 2 to 1, so you're taking its searchability down by 1. But again, not happening. Davis and Kenvis, as you heard me say before on a stream, Mr. Adam's stream. Again, this is one of these where people are like, it's too powerful, it's ridiculously broken, it's always viable, especially in multiples. We had an episode of Good Card, Bad Card in this a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. You both agree it's a super good card, but at the same time, people are asking for this to be limited. It's one of those weird cards where I could put it on like the fence and say like it's probably worth limiting it, but again, up to this point, there is no VMon card, no Magnamon card that says, hey, put down a Tamer with this names onto the field for free. And I think until the day we do get a level 4 that says when Digivolving play a Davis and Ken, I think we're okay. When that changes and the day does come where Davis and Ken can be put onto the field, then this card either is getting limited or it's getting banned, because I think it is too strong if you can just get, especially nowadays where it's 1 or less, which means that you're getting 2 out minimum, and that can just be very scary. Another card that people might find strange, I keep hearing about wanting people to limit it, is Shadow Seraphimon Ace. And I kind of agree with this statement. I do not like Seraphimon Ace, but at the same time, I don't really think it's doing much in the format, like in any of the formats right now. On play, when Digivolve free one of your opponent's Digimon, and all turns return when attack targets change, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5000 DP for the turn, has the free Angel's traits, is a Seraphi. It's black-yellow. You know, he has like the good things of both yellow and black. You know, he's both defensive and he's aggressive. DP minus is a hell of a skill. Again, people are asking if this to be reduced to 1. Most decks that are playing this is like the weird Lucymon build, and again, you don't see that very often. And I'm seeing like no one really can play with this. I'm seeing people play out combo decks constantly, but not really Shadow Seraphi. So I think this is one of those cards where it's a lot of stink, but not a lot of to do. Volgamon. This is a card that people are asking to get rid of because it's obviously the mainstay of the purple hybrid deck. I understand again, this card is very good, very strong, very aggressive. And I don't really think they're going to get this rid of so soon. It's only just come out. It was, what was it like, last sort of July, August for Japan. We got this in October. I think they get it in September maybe. The deck is still fairly good. Still fairly new, and yet it is still fairly good. The issue I do see with this though is there are a lot of good purple decks currently in the format, and I do see people wanting this to be taken care of. That being said, though, I don't really know if that's going to happen. I don't think they will. I think they have other purple decks they need to take care of first. I think this is the one that's probably going to get missed this time round. But if purple hybrid is still strong, probably a bit further down the line, we are getting more red hybrid support coming up very shortly. I can see it being a case of if red hybrid becomes this deck that can't take out purple hybrid, and purple hybrid becomes the only playable hybrid deck, then maybe we'll look at being dealt with that way. But for now, I don't think anything's touching here. And then finally, BT17 Fenrir Tamakechi Takemi Kachizuchi Sword Doggo Sif. I can see people why they want this rid of. We technically have an episode of this coming out later today, where we talk about how this is kind of the reason why the deck is doing way too much and being a lot of struggle for a lot of people to deal with. Because once this card gets down, you just generally aren't getting rid of it off the field, and it's generally going to be swinging for 4 checks, as it doesn't have a once per turn restriction on it. I can understand people wanting this restricted to 1 of or limited, but I think the issue with this card is because you only really run it at 2 of most of the time. I think I've seen people that maybe run it at 3. Limiting it to 1 sucks, but the other version of this deck is a control variant deck, so you can run both, but it's not as good. But the other one is also blast counter Digivolution, so you can just DNA Digivolve from hand. So it's you got to pick your battles how you really want it. But if this gets removed, I think you just play Fenrir the old way then, which is still a fairly good deck. You just go continuously underspending and hitting for 2 or 3 checks and then going crazy. So I just don't think that's the real answer to this deck. The other thing is, again, we've got an episode about this really later, is Baumon. The original egg is not once per turn, so when Digimon with the Dark Animal or SOC trait is trashed from the hand, you may Digivolve to that Digimon. It's very easy to just climb the ladder continuously because most of your things say, hey, when Digivolving, draw a card, trash a card. And I think that's where this deck is kind of maybe revolving around a bit more. I don't think it is limiting, but I can see why people would want it limiting. The other card is fairly good. It's just once per turn. I think that's where the issue with this card is. If it was your turn once per turn, when a Digimon card with the Dark Animal or SOC trait is trashed from the hand, this Digimon Digivolve into it. I think it's the fact that it's just very open. And at the time with the lack of support that we had for that deck, I think it made sense. But now obviously the deck is more well-rounded and aggressive. I think that's where you can see it happening. But these are the ones that people want limiting, and the ones that I either don't agree with or don't see it been happening for a while. Baumon I can kind of see happening because it might make people less fidgety about Fenrir. The 4 cards I think are going to hit, though, is because I think people are fed up of seeing these cards now, is Koyo and Seiyo, the EX5 Red Tamers. The reason why I say this is because Galaxy has become such a consistent red-blue engine that if there's any good level 6s, they are just shoved into that deck now. And I don't think Bandai likes that, because obviously we had no restrictions yet. The only one we've had a restriction on is the other Tamer abilities, where they can manipulate the warping, so you just don't get infinite turns. And I think that is literally the only thing that they cared about most in this deck is restrictive choices for deck building. But other than that, I think we get to the point where they don't like the fact that Galaxy is an engine rather than an actual decker itself. And unfortunately, any more support that is level 3 or 4 or even 5 just basically makes the engine better and not necessarily makes the deck better. So I can see this getting limited to 1. Now this is a joint ban consideration. It's Leviamon and Biting Crush. I think one of these has to go, and I think more likely will be the option card. A lot of people complain about this card. It's been around at this point for well over a year, so a year and a half I think in Japan. A lot of people don't like having to deal with this deck because it's just so egregious, especially mixed with the Dark Animal side of things, another engine that people are kind of annoyed with. The engine itself isn't really too much of an issue. The engine isn't really the main reason why the deck is the way it is. Obviously, it's very good for efficiency, it's memory consumption. It's very good being a deck that just wants to do all the graveyard stuff and then get all the extra bits. It's just, I think a lot of people complain about Leviathan and its option card just being way too aggressive for what it is, and then having the effects of Biting Crush that has the delay effect of when an effect plays an opponent's Digimon delay, you may play one Leviathan from the trash without the pay in the cast, and it's either a case of that you limit Leviathan, which then means you have to play the, in brackets, bad Leviathan, it's just a very different Leviathan, or you limit Biting Crush and you still have access to other option cards that let you pop things, but you aren't having a back row of this that just says, hey, let me just shoot out like 12 Leviathans in a turn for the fun of it. And then Return of the Primogenitor, Return of the Ancients, is the only other card I can see possibly getting limited. I know a lot of people are getting fed up with this card because they just can never seem to get rid of Digimon on the field from that deck. That deck itself is kind of annoying. I know people want the restrictions on the level 4s from BT12, and that is the other way they can go with this deck. So I do think that Teal Imperial, because the blue-green Imperial, does need to be hit in some way. I just don't want them to hit it so hard that the deck just doesn't play anymore. That's the problem. But that is kind of where I'm leading up here with these thoughts on these restricted lists. I don't think it's going to be too hard to really deal with a new list. I just think the issue is a lot of people go like, oh, I don't like this deck, it needs to be limited, or it needs to be here, or it needs to be happened, and then another deck comes up because it needs to fill the power vacuum, and then it's like, I hate this deck even more, and it's a case of you don't really win. BT21 is technically a soft reboot. Saying things with like 14 was a soft reboot, and 13 was technically like a soft reboot on the end, and 12 was its own like kind of like weird middle ground thing. 21 is technically just 12.2, so we'll see. But yeah, I think with everything coming up and happening and us being unified, I think things will happen more quickly. Hopefully, if we do see a lot of issues, we get ban lists at the end of each season rather than just like twice a year. It would be nice to know that season 1, so March till I want to say June, is a season. They look at what's going on, they see decks that are too strong, they see people complaining, they look at the considerations and they go, there's nothing coming out that's really going to like crush these decks in the next couple of sets. We'll limit such and such, and then when you have season 2, like September to December, you go, okay, and that's it, and then you'll have possibly a ban list after that, and that will be for finals and worlds, and then at the start of the next year, so let's say every 4 months, you'll then look again at another ban list rotation. I think having it just twice a year is very difficult because a lot of people hate the fact they have to play a card game that they enjoy and just can't enjoy it because they go to a local and like 5 people are playing the same deck and there's only like 12 of you there, and it's like I have to go against the deck that I hate the most like 3 or 4 times. It's boring. I don't like it. So I understand people's opinions, but that's it. That's the ban list check down. I think there's 4 things possibly, and then a load of things on the fence. But that is it for today. So we'll catch you guys soon. Mwah. Peace out and goodbye. Enjoy the good card, bad card later today, and we'll catch you guys soon for another deck profile. Lots of shorts and a good card, bad card the week after. So yeah, peace out, goodbye. Mwah. Love you all.